This should be a pretty short video. Keep in mind this video should go together with grouping, simplifying through grouping by grouping. It should go with the FOIL method, and it should go with distributive property. This is a concept that's kind of in the middle of that. Okay, you need to know how to do multiplying and dividing of variables when they have exponents. The concept is really quite simple and pretty straightforward. However, when we're doing like distributive property and I don't talk about this, I tend to lose my students initially. So I thought I would make this video just to kind of ease your way into distributive property and then the FOIL method and then other things. Okay, so exponents. Do you remember the video that I made for you all on exponents? Exponents. So I gave you an example like 2 cubed. And then I would ask you guys, well, what's the answer? And some people say 6, but the answer is actually 8. So what's going on here? Remember that we never multiply the 2 times the exponent, it's actually called the base. This is the base, and this is the exponent. I'm not going to get into too much detail. If you need more on exponents, go back to the exponent video, okay? But if you remember, we multiply the base by itself this many times. So it'd be 2 multiplied by itself 3 times. So it would basically look like 2 times 2 times 2. 3 of them, that's what the exponent tells me. I have my 2, or my base, written down 3 times, and I multiply it all together. Okay? But what happens when we have an x? Bam! What does that mean? What does an x cubed mean? Well, it means that it's x. Remember that the variable is just a number. It's okay. It looks like a letter, but it's a number that we just don't know. Okay? It's an unknown number. So what this would mean is that it would be the base, the same thing like the 2. It would be the base multiplied by itself 3 times. X times x times x. Okay? I don't really have a number value for that. I can't tell you what x is. I don't know. But it does mean, this expression means that it's x multiplied by itself 3 times, even though we don't know what x is. Okay? But what happens if I do something like this? Oops. Okay, I have x cubed multiplied. Remember that when the 2 parentheses are touching each other, that means multiplication. So x cubed multiplied by x squared. What does that mean? It's pretty easy, but let me break it down for you first. This one, like we did earlier, was x times x times x. So let's go ahead and do that. X times x times x. Well, this one kind of says the same thing, except it's not 3 times, it's only 2 times. So we go x, well, I'll just bring it over here, x times x. But these two are multiplied together, so essentially I could put a little multiplication sign between all of them. So how many x's are multiplied by themselves? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 x's being multiplied together. So the answer, can you see? Yes. The answer would be x to the 5th. So what we do when we multiply variables with exponents, we're basically just adding the exponents. 3 plus 2, 5. That's it. So let me show you something else. Let me show you something a little bit different. What if I had 3x cubed, we'll do it like this, times 2x cubed. So now I have numbers that are being multiplied, but I also have the variable with an exponent being multiplied. So there's 2 things being multiplied here. Okay, really 3, but I won't talk about that right now. There's 2 things. We have a number and we have a letter or a variable being multiplied, okay? So we can do the number first. 3 times 2, 6. Now I have 3 x's here, or x times x times x, and I have the same thing over here, x times x times x. How many x's in all? 6. So I put x to the 6th. And that would be the answer for this. So multiplying the numbers, that's like multiplying numbers, that doesn't change. But when we have the variable with an exponent and you're multiplying, when you multiply the variables, they just add together. And that's basically it. Let me give you another example. What about this one? I have two terms being multiplied. Okay, again, just to repeat, when the parentheses are touching each other or right next to each other, that means multiplication. So I have x times x times x, and I have y times y times y times y being multiplied by x times x times another y. Okay, remember that this y just counts as 1, but they don't ever put the exponent right here. They don't put a number 1. If it's just by itself, it's a y. Okay? All right. So remember, this one is x times x. I'm going to break this one down. I'm going to show you how this works. This one is x times x with y multiplied, they're all multiplied, times y times y times y. Okay, that's the first parentheses, right? 3 of the x's, 4 of the y's. Now, on this other one, I have 2 x's and 1 y. So I'll just do that. 2 x's and 1 y. Okay? Now, when I multiply all this together, all I really have to do is add the exponents. So I have 3 x's here, 2 x's here. It's the same thing that the exponents, the numbers themselves say, okay? So I have 3 here, 2 here. I have in total 5 x's being multiplied by themselves, okay? And then I can go over here to my y's, and I have 4 y's being multiplied here, right? Y to the 4th. And then I have 1 y just by itself. So in all, I have 5 y's being multiplied. I have y times y times y times y times another y. Okay, so this would be y to the 5th. So this is the answer. If you multiply these two terms, this is what you'll get. So you can see that it still is simplifying. It's just simplifying through multiplication, and when it's just a variable multiplied by another variable, we just put them together, but we just count how many of these variables are being multiplied by themselves. Okay? I hope it's coming across the way it is in my head. I see it pretty clearly. I hope it's translating that way to you all. Okay. So if you can imagine that multiplying exponents, or variables with exponents, is adding, what do you think division is going to be like? If we divide a variable with an exponent by another variable with an exponent, what do you think that's going to be? Being especially considering that multiplication and division are opposites, right? They're opposite operations of each other. So when we multiply, we add the exponents. When we divide, what do you think? We're probably going to subtract, and we are. That's how that works. Let me show you. Let me show you an example. We'll start off slow. My students get mad at me, so right away I start jumping into big problems. They're like, hey, slow down, man, slow down. So I'm going to start off slow. All right, we have a division here. 2 variables being divided. Now these variables have different exponents. This variable has a 5. It's x to the 5th, or remember it means x times x times x times x times x, right? And then this one is x squared, or x times x, and they're being divided by each other. Now, like I said, all we have to do, we're going to have an x in our answer, but we just subtract the variables, and that's how you divide the exponents, okay? So it's just 5 minus 2, 3, and that's it. We divided it. We divided 2 variables with exponents. It's easy, it's not that complicated, but when you're doing multi-step problems, sometimes we forget these small little rules in between, okay? So let me put another one up. A little bit faster, a little bit more complicated, right? Let's do, I keep using x, but really variables can be any letter. What if I put like a to the 5th times b to the third times c to the second power divided by a squared, b squared, and c. What would that be like? Now remember, we divide the like terms, the ones that are both a, and we'll divide the ones that are just both b, and we'll divide the ones that are just both c. So they correspond to each other by being the same variable, the same letter, okay? But we're dividing, that's what the fraction bar means. Remember, fractions are divisions. So starting with a, how many a's do I have left after I divide a to the fifth by a to the second? We just subtract the variables, so that'd be 5 minus 2. A to the third, that's what I'm left with. But I have 2 more to do still, so I'm going to have a b in my answer, but I have to do the division with the exponents. And again, that's just a subtraction. 3 minus 2 is 1, and like I mentioned before, we don't put the 1 when it's 1. We just, there it is. There's a b left. That's all there is to it. Okay, there's 1 b left. And the same thing's going to happen with the c. Remember that this is c squared, and this is like c with the 1. And just to repeat, they don't put the 1, okay? You're never going to see the 1 when it's c to the first. They don't do that. It's just c, okay? But you can visualize the 1 to do the subtraction, which is really a division. How confusing, right? This is so confusing. It's kind of hard to explain, but without being confusing. All right, well, we're dividing. Exponents subtract. So 2 minus 1 is just 1. So c, and again, we don't put the 1. Okay, so 2 minus 1 is 1, but we don't put the 1. Same thing with the b, we don't put the 1. But so this would be my answer. That would be the answer of this division. Let me do one more before we have you guys doing some examples. Oops, that scared me. Okay. I apologize for that. All right, let's do one more. What if I had 12a to the 7th, b to the 5th, okay? Remember that all these are being multiplied because they're all right next to each other, okay? What I mean by next to each other is that they're not added or subtracted, or there's no other operation between them. So that means that they're all multiplied, okay? So 12a to the 7th, b to the 5th. And let's say it's divided by 3a to the 3rd, b to the 2nd. Ha 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 ha. Okay? We're dividing 2 things right now. Really 3, but I'll get to that when we do distributive property. I'll get into more detail about the 3rd thing that we're multiplying. So right now, we have numbers, and then we have variables with exponents that are being divided. So, let's do the numbers first. 12 divided by 3, 4. Right? A to the 7th divided by a to the 3rd, we just got to subtract the exponents, and that's it. So 7 minus 3 is 4. A to the 4th. Okay? And b to the 5th divided by b squared is just the same thing. Subtract the variables because we're dividing, and that'll be b to the 3rd. 5 minus 2, 3. Okay? So this would be our answer. Divide the numbers like any other number. That's just division. And then the exponents we subtract when we're dividing, okay? When we're multiplying, we add them. So they're inverse of each other. They're opposites, okay? All right. So I have a couple of examples for you all to try. How about this one? How about we start off with the division? All right. I would say stop the video, give it a shot. It shouldn't be too difficult for you all. I just did a couple just like this, okay? So go ahead and stop the video and do it. Did it? All right. So what would you get? Let's see here. I'm going to do the numbers first. I'm going to divide the numbers first. Maybe I should have read this to you in the beginning in case you can't read my numbers or my letters. This is 6a to the 4th, b to the 7th, c squared, and it's all multiplied because there's nothing between them separating them like another operation, okay? And this one down here is 3a squared b cubed times c. Okay? All right, so I'm going to start off, like I said, with the numbers. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Okay? a to the fourth divided by a to the second is a to the second. Remember, we're just subtracting. 4 minus 2 is 2. Okay? Now, b to the seventh divided by b to the third is going to be b to the fourth because we just subtract the exponents when we're dividing them. Okay? And c squared divided by c is going to be c. I hope that's what you got. Okay? And we don't put the 1, and 2 minus 1 is 1, but we don't put the 1, like I've mentioned before. Okay? All right. See how that was all right. That wasn't too bad. So I have a couple more over here. Here we go. Right? You can see that. So this one says a squared times x. Where did I get a from? Okay, let's try that again. X squared times x to the fourth times x to the fifth. What does that give you? All right, I'll let you guys do that. And then, this is a little bit different. This is x squared, y cubed times x squared times x squared, y squared times y cubed. So they're all multiplied, okay? And I'll go ahead and give that one a shot. So go ahead and pause the video and do these two problems. See what you get. Tick tock. Okay, let's get on with it. So the first one, being that they're all x's, the bases are all the same, they're all going to be the same base. It's not going to change, right? It's going to be x. Do I have another color? I do. It's going to be x. And being that we're multiplying, all we're going to do is add all the exponents together, and that's it. Remember that this one is an imaginary 1. They don't put that 1 there, okay? But we add it as if it was a 1. So 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 plus 4 is 7. 7 plus 5 is 12. And that would be the answer, x to the 12th. Okay? Cool, cool. Now, over here, it's a little bit different, right? Because I have two different kinds of variables. But remember, the variables that we're going to add together, or the exponents of the variables that we're going to add together, need to be the same. In other words, the y can only be multiplied with the y. You can't really multiply y with the x and combine the exponent because they're different terms. They're not like terms. So being that they're not like terms, I just got to write them individually. So my answer is going to have both x and y. All right, it's going to have both because I can see that that's what's being multiplied in these four terms. Okay, so let's start off with the x's, okay? So x squared times another x squared times another x squared, and that's all of them, okay? There's 3 terms with x. I'm going to add those exponents together. So x squared is 2 plus another 2 is 4 plus another 2 is 6. So that's 6x, or sorry, x to the 6th power. And we'll do the same thing with y. I have a y term here, a y term here, and a y term here. They're all being multiplied, so I'm just going to add all the exponents that the y's have. So 3, right? Y to the third is 3, y to the second is 2, 3 and 2 is 5, right? Plus another 3 is 8. So you should have got x to the 6th times y to the 8th. Okay? So again, this is just a short, quick video. Well, I don't know how quick it was now, but I tend to talk a lot, don't I? So anyhow, where's my remote? Remember that multiplying and dividing exponents is basically adding and subtracting. When you multiply variables with exponents, the exponents are going to be added. When you divide variables with exponents, you're going to be subtracting, okay? Subtracting the exponents. So anyway, you'll see more of this when we do distributive property and probably when we do the FOIL method, but I did want to take some time to show you exactly what we're doing with this kind of operation. Okay, so good luck.